My entitled friends insisted on having a double wedding alongside my fiancé and I, and it ruined their marriage. My fiancé Eveline and I were getting married and agreed on having a small wedding by eloping in Gibraltar. We told our friends David and Anne about it, and they decided on the spot that we were having a double wedding. They immediately took over planning, demanding we do things their way. When it came time for the trip, we had all initially decided to get a rental car together and split it 4 ways. 2 days before the trip, they decided it would be cheaper to take 6 trains across 3 countries to get to Gibraltar. I immediately said no, which led to us driving, and them opting to take the train. Well, that went terribly for them. 2 of their trains were canceled. Anne lost the tickets, and they missed the first night in Gibraltar because they were stuck at a train station in the highest crime-ridden town in Spain. They got robbed at that station too. We had also all agreed to get a really nice Airbnb. Well, Anne decided she wanted a real hotel, and last second pulled out of the Airbnb plan. Eveline and I found a gorgeous little 1-bedroom place, while David and Anne forgot to book a real hotel and ended up in an awful place by the port. It was a place for merchant sailors to crash while between trips and was on a busy roundabout opposite Burger King. It was also more expensive than our place, and they got no sleep because of the sailors. The night before the wedding, we met for dinner. At some point, David signaled to the restaurant host, and the lady came over with a VIP bucket with champagne on ice. She popped the cork and gave it to David, who handed it to Anne, saying, "Just like the one I gave you in New York, baby." It was supposed to be a romantic moment, but Anne refused to accept it. The host awkwardly poured 2 glasses of champagne, and David pressured Anne into taking a sip. When she did, she spat it out, announcing loudly, "I hate it." David then said he wouldn't be paying for it. The host was ticked off, and I understood why, as the bottle was $750. She threatened to call the police, so David sheepishly paid for it. The actual weddings went okay, apart from the fact David and Anne were hammered. When Eveline and I kissed to make it official, David stood up and started yelling that it wasn't fair we got the nicer outfits. Anne had picked the outfit for him, and since she was also drunk, she got irritated by this. She full-on slapped David for that remark and told him that if she didn't like her fashion style, he could screw Eveline instead. Of course, this made me mad, but I didn't even have to say anything as David then stood up and told her to go F yourself. He then stormed away, but not before tripping over his shoelaces and stumbling into a table full of cupcakes, getting cream all over his suit. For the wedding dinner, Anne insisted on a fine dining fish restaurant, but Eveline and I didn't want that. Anne was really insisting on this fish restaurant, so we decided not to meet up. Eveline and I went to the best steakhouse in Gibraltar. We had a great time, and after dinner at around 8 p.m., David and Anne messaged us, "Where are you?" Turns out Anne forgot to make reservations, and the fish restaurant was fully booked when they arrived. They ended up taking a store-bought cake back to their sailor hotel and eating it with their credit cards because they didn't have cutlery in their room. The next day, they had a huge fight because David decided to cake-face Anne in the lobby of their hotel. Turns out he bought a second cake just for that. They then decided everything was Gibraltar's fault and spontaneously left. They booked a beach resort up the coast of Spain and headed on foot to the train station. The train was late. They got stranded somewhere with all their luggage, and it took them 14 hours to get to the resort. They arrived at 11 p.m. and were checking out the next morning. They also got stranded again on the way home, lost half their luggage, and decided to take a break from each other for a month.